Tulsa in December for a weekend.
Good evening, everyone. It's Wednesday evening. It's just after 7, and this is Keto Confab, a meeting for people wanting to live the keto lifestyle, especially according to the teachings of Dr. Annette Bosworth. And I'm Elizabeth Hanson, your host tonight. Dr. Hanson is out of town, and I don't know if he's going to be joining us on Zoom, but I suspect not, because he's taking care of our grandsons this week. And so he's probably occupied. When I called around this time last night, they were looking at bugs under the microscope. So
How old is your grandson?
we have an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old grandsons, Joseph and Samuel. And their parents are off to the Mayo Clinic because my son-in-law got the vaccine and unfortunately got the myocarditis that comes with it. And then he had COVID and was left with long COVID, and he's not able to work currently. And so they've gone to Mayo to see if there's any new developments or anything that Mayo would suggest to try and get his health back. So,
well, I can tell you in the acupuncture field, we are having great success with long COVID patients.
Yeah. Unfortunately, North Dakota has a huge dearth in acupuncturists.
Really?
We have some chiropractors who've taken a weekend course, but they aren't really acupuncturists. They can poke some needles, but they aren't really acupuncturists. And I really feel that he'd do better with a real acupuncturist, but he would probably have to travel 6 hours to get to somebody good,
Yeah.
So it's part of the problem living in a very rural state,
Yeah, that's very true.
So as we are trying to establish with our in our group, we're going to start with our beginning thing. You don't have to share if you don't want to share, but here's our 3 things we want to share. Your win of the week and what you want to work on this week, and the one thing you're grateful for. And as usual, I'll start. So my win of this week is I have not gained any weight and I've lost 3 pounds. So
yay!
What I want to work on this week, I want to work on not eating yogurt. I have tried a lot of non-dairy yogurts, and I found a brand I actually like. It's made with coconut milk, and it has no added sugar and everything, but I think it's keeping me from losing any weight. And I've gone 2 days now without eating it, and I've lost these 3 pounds. And so I need to work on that because I want to get my weight loss going again. And the one thing I'm grateful for, I am grateful for heat and electricity and all the modern conveniences, because it'd really be bad living in North Dakota if I didn't have them. I just wish that there was a way to automatically shovel your walk and your deck and your stairs and all of that, because that's not necessarily fun. And usually Dr. Hanson does all of that for me. So I'm thankful for him too when he's here, because he does all that. So anyway, so who wants to go next?
Well, I can never think of things for all of them, but I do have one for what am I grateful for. When I was walking the dog tonight, I thought, well, I'm grateful to have a dog because I get home from work and the first thing I have to do is take him for a walk every night. So that just makes me get out of the house and go for a walk. Now I'm in the South. So my very cold is not Elizabeth's very cold, but it has been very cold. And my high this weekend is 49. And that is awful cold because we went from 70s to 50s in like one day. And I'm freezing down here. So I know Elizabeth doesn't have too much sympathy for me, but you know, you get thinned out when you're living in the South all the time after 15 years or more. So it's been pretty cold for me. And so anyway, I'm thankful for the dog. Makes me go out and walk every day with him right when I get home from work because it gets dark. It gets dark by 5. So I have to be home, you know, I have to do it right when I get home. And what do I want to work on this week? I don't know, just keep on plugging on. I mean, there's nothing, I don't really have a specific goal, but just to keep on. Of course, a goal coming up will be to decide what I want to do for Thanksgiving, you know, because that's next week. And I usually go off plan just a little bit because I want to have stuffing. So I know that I will do that. I don't need to have the potatoes. I don't need to have corn or any other things that come with a Thanksgiving. I don't eat pies because I don't even like pumpkin pies or anything. So, but I will have the stuffing probably for 2 days and then I'll say that's it and it's over.
I really like stuffing too. It's my favorite part of the Thanksgiving dinner. I like stuffing with some of the cranberry dressing. I mean sauce. You know, the ones with the real berries in it.
That's what
like
my husband
that.
gets too.
I like that together. I can live without sweet potatoes or mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yeah. I put the gravy. I do the gravy. We have a fried turkey, so we don't really have like real gravy to put on it because we don't have any juices from the turkey because it's fried. But we do. I will have turkey and dressing and probably a little bit of gravy on top of both of them, and that's probably it. Yeah.
By the way, for those gravy lovers of y'all, I have figured out literally how to make gravy using almond or coconut flour. And it's fabulous. And you make it pretty much the same way you make it with regular flour. You know, you use whatever, like your bacon grease or your olive oil or whatever your oil of choice is. And then you put some heavy cream into a cup and you add however much of your flour you want, add some water to that so that it's kind of liquidy, and you heat up your grease, and while your grease is going, you just add that to it.
Well, ours is going to come out of a jar. My husband is not keto, and he used to go all out and make sweet potatoes and sweet potatoes, you know, with all the sweet stuff on it, you know, marshmallows and whatever nuts you put on it. But I didn't like. I've never eaten sweet potatoes, and I don't like them. And he would make it for himself, and and the stuffing and he would just go all out, and most of the stuff wasn't even. I wouldn't even eat it anyway. I don't like the cranberries. I don't like the sweet potatoes. So anyway, I've been kind of thinking what I'm going to do for next week and how I'm going to fit into my stuff. So that's what I want to work on this week is kind of planning Thanksgiving meals and, you know, for the weekend after that. Although my husband will be going deer hunting, so he won't be around, but my son comes over for Thanksgiving, so he'll be here for a couple of days.
Oh, that sounds like a pleasant time.
He only comes here once a year, so.
Oh my.
Well, Renee, you want to share your 3?
Well, let's see. I have a couple of wins for the week. Win for the week number 1, I started a patient on the keto diet. So it's not my personal win, but in the 2 weeks that she's been coming to see me, she has now lost 7 pounds.
Yay.
Yes, and I told her she's already on board with ordering the Dr. Bos's books. She's already on board with ordering some stuff that's gonna help her stay keto driven at her home, because she lives in what I call a split household. Half of the household's on keto, she's on keto, the rest of the house is not. She has kids.
Mhm.
My win of the week really isn't necessarily keto related, but I finally got a resolution and date set for my knee surgery. Or knee replacement surgery. And so I'm excited to say I will finally be getting my knee replaced February 9th. It's far away, but at least I now can, see the light at the end of the tunnel. For me, I think the win of the week was being able to get myself back into what I feel like is my keto body, after I, had to evict some tenants and kind of went through some stressing stuff in my life. And not that I wasn't doing keto before, but the stress really, even being on keto, my body wasn't responding to keto because my stress levels were so high. So to me, the win of the week is that I feel like I've got my feeling of my keto body back. What do I want to work on this week? I kind of want to work on restructuring how I do my keto grocery shopping. I tend to shop like just every couple of days, and which is fine. But I think I need to, especially coming up to a position in February where I won't be able to shop for myself. I need to figure out how I can make some keto meals ahead of time for the time period when I won't be able to shop. So I want to kind of get something kind of started in place. The one thing I'm grateful for, I am grateful for the wonderful friends I've got for this keto group. I am incredibly thankful for just all the family and friends I've had around me who've gone through my recent turmoil that's been going on around me. I've missed this group a lot, and I've had the main reasons I haven't been able to be here are all positive. I've been that busy in my office, so those are wins. But I have missed this group. So for me, the good thing I'm grateful for is I finally get to see you all again. Yay! Heart emoji.
Okay. Well, the other thing we've been doing is working on these 12 myths from Dr. Paul Aveda's book, and I don't know where I put the book. So let me go to another screen. Here we go. And we're working on myth number 7. Medications are the best treatment for medical issues. Many doctors are quick to throw medication at a problem to treat symptoms and slow to discuss lifestyle and diet changes to address the underlying causes. Partly to blame is the assumption that these problems are genetic or just plain unknowable. But as you've seen, that's not usually true. Metabolic health is the issue. Therefore, medications that only treat the symptoms are not the best treatment. They exist to alleviate symptoms and keep the patient alive while the real causes are addressed. They are not a long-term solution. In my experience, many doctors assume people aren't willing to change their diet. That's untrue from my perspective. Most people can follow dietary guidelines because they already do. The food pyramid is effective at snaring food industry customers precisely because so many people try to follow it. But doctors perceive that their patients don't follow advice because the patients don't get better. The real issue is that the advice itself is flawed. Eat low fat and count your calories is not sound advice to improve metabolic health. If the advice works, my experience is that people will enthusiastically follow it. People don't want to be unhealthy and miserable. If there was a magical diet that made you drop 100 pounds and keep it off, everyone in America would start that diet today. There is, sort of, but it's not a pill or a waistband. It's a system. More on that system soon. Another severe problem is that pharmaceutical companies have tremendous influence over the medical industry, beginning with the medical school involvement. The healthcare industry is built for business. Hospitals need patients, and pharmaceutical companies need repeat customers. So the education system teaches doctors to pile up medications to treat every symptom, then treat side effects with more meds. It's also quicker for an overworked doctor to write a prescription and rush out the door than to communicate the message of this book inside a tiny office visit. Yet there is no example I'm aware of that treating a disease is as effective as not having the disease in the first place. Stopping your patients from getting sick in the first place is the very best medicine. It's every doctor's dream, but few know how to achieve it. The tools to do so have been withheld from us in favor of the repeat customer model. So am I saying you should just follow metabolically healthy diet, eat this and not that, and everything will be perfect? Well, not exactly. And next week we'll do, well, maybe not next week, we'll talk. Diets work if you follow them. So now I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. So the share worked okay. You guys saw the two screens I shared?
No, we only saw the one,
I only saw
first one.
Oh, you did. Oh,
If I have to share a different screen?
yeah. I shared a screen of the book. You know, you sent me the book. You know, and it,
We didn't see the book. We only saw the
only
first screen.
I saw was the one about the three
Three
Fine.
things.
just fine. Okay, no problem.
Share, try sharing the screen with the book on it. I bet you just had to share a different screen. Was it on a
Okay.
different screen? You had to share a different window or something.
Yeah, just a second. I'm doing something else, trying to get something else up. So do you see my face making faces? Is that what you see right now?
yes.
Yes, okay. All right,
Such a lovely face.
I'm trying to bring something else up. It's always so slow.
You look lovely, darling.
What?
You look lovely.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I try hard. Well, it's better than hardly trying.
This is true.
Okay, come on. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to get to something. Tammy, you talked about walking your dog. And I actually posted a picture of our Bella recently. Trying to get to it. We have to have a little coat for our dog because of the cold here. And she doesn't really like her coat that much. And so I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to hit the share screen. I'm going to pick this and share. Now, do you see a picture of our dog?
Yes.
In her little coat?
Yes.
Yeah, she doesn't really like it that much, but when it's 0 degrees, she's just a little thing. She weighs 11 pounds. And you can't take an 11-pound dog out for a walk in 0 temps or below. And in fact, they say anything below 20, you go out, you let them piddle, you bring them back in. And when you get to 0, they have to have a sweater or a coat on. We have boots for her too, but she won't wear the boots. So, okay. Now I'm going to try and show you the book. I think you can't switch screens. Okay, wait. I think you can't switch screens when you're on a screen already. You have to switch screens on. I thank you for putting up with me playing with this, but I'm trying to learn how to do this. And
You're already further along than I am, Elizabeth.
there's
So.
the book. Can you see it now?
Yay! Yep.
Go me. I think I figured it out. Go me. Okay. All right. So okay. So on to the rest. I'm going to stop sharing. On to the rest of our meeting. So it is the week before Thanksgiving, and I wanted to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving. Last year we tried something for Thanksgiving. Rather than going over to someone's house for a meal, we went over after the meal and we did games and puzzles and activities, and that worked out really well. This year we're not hosting a meal. It's tough for us because of the various food allergies and sensitivities we have in the family. Having the traditional meal is not the traditional meal. And since 3 out of 4 of us are keto, hosting other people for the meal is a problem. But we're going to be going over to our friend's house again, and we're going to do puzzles and play games and just have fun. They're hosting the meal, and they'll have about 12 people over there. And after they're done eating, then we will show up and we'll play games and do stuff with them. That's the way we're handling Thanksgiving. If my daughter and her husband and grandchildren came, they would accept very well our dietary issues because they know all about them. And they also know we're keto, and they wouldn't qualm about it at all. But, someone that isn't family, that doesn't understand the dietary limitations most of us in the family have, not Scott. Scott's fine. um, but the rest of us do. My daughter never expects, regular meals the way, you know, holiday meals and stuff the way they usually are because she and my grandsons are gluten-free and can't eat chicken or turkey. And, we have ham, for them and me. Everyone else in the family gets chicken and turkey. But what's the turkey price where you guys are right now?
Oh, they're outrageously high.
Yeah.
Outrageously high. Like a 20-pound turkey is like $30-$40.
Mhm. Yeah, I just saw that Walmart has turkey. The price for turkey is $1.18 a pound.
Yeah.
So, a 20-pound turkey is, 22, 23, $23, a lot more than we paid, years before. But I'm kind of hoping that the college where my husband teaches will come through with a turkey, because a lot of years for Christmas or Thanksgiving, usually not both, Christmas or Thanksgiving, they give out turkeys to all the staff and faculty. So,
Yeah, I
and,
have to
and
stay away from ham because ham is cured with salt. And every time I eat ham, as much as I love the flavor,
mhm,
I look like the Pillsbury Doughboy the next day. I puff up so bad after eating ham.
mhm,
So the only thing I can think of is that ham is cured with salt. But
mhm,
it's funny because bacon doesn't do that to me.
mhm,
But ham does it terribly.
mhm. Yeah. I don't puff up with ham, thank heavens. Um, I would puff up with chicken or turkey though, and they're not cured with salt, but whatever. So
I just don't like ham, so my husband's sad that I just don't care for ham at all.
the nice thing is they're now packaging smaller hams, because I can't buy a big ham when it's just me in the household eating it. Now, when my daughter and grandsons come, yeah, I'll buy a bigger ham and we'll just all chomp down on it. Well, those of us who eat ham. But yeah, now they're selling smaller parts of the ham, not a whole big ham, because there are people that live alone or it's just two of them and they don't want a massive ham.
What about
Mhm.
getting the larger ham and then you just freeze the portions in say some in cubes, some in ham steaks, and then you could eat ham like year round just because you bought one ham at Christmas.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Does that
Um,
work well for you in your area,
um,
in your home?
yeah, I've done that because like during COVID, nobody was coming home for Thanksgiving or Christmas, so it was just me and the ham. And so I would bake it and then cut it all up and put it in, serving size Ziplocs, for me. And I'd take, oh, I feel like ham today. I'm going to take a serving size out, So I've
It
done that.
freeze up well.
Yeah, it froze up really well. And
Okay, I was curious about the if it when you thawed it out, if it still cooked and tasted as good.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, good.
I've done it both ways. I've cooked it first and then cut it all up and put it in serving size things. And the other time I butchered it up and put it in serving size things. I like doing it cooked better, but I typically do not like reheated meat. I used to hate chicken and turkey and hamburger reheated. Ugh, that was disgusting, but now I'm okay. So, um, Tammy, when your son comes home, do you do the whole spread?
Yeah,
Or
we'll have turkey. Oh, forgot to tell you what the other thing that we will probably have is some wine, but I'll just have my wine glass. Turkey dressing, mashed potatoes, and I'm not sure what else. My husband will have cranberries, but he'll be the only one that eats it. And then we'll have leftovers the next day. And then my husband will take the leftover turkey and make turkey noodle soup.
oh, yeah, yeah,
That's what we traditionally do with leftovers, turkey. But since we are frying it, I think we can only have either a 12 or 14 pound turkey. I can't remember. I think it's 14. That's all that we know will fit in the fryer.
mhm,
So, but good thing there's only, 3 of us because we don't need more than that.
yeah. Um, in our heyday, when we did turkey, we always got like a 25-pound turkey and we baked it all up. And then we divided it up and put it into various stuff, soups, casseroles, and even a pot pie once. I made a turkey pot pie once. It was really good. And
It's
eat up the
funny.
gravy.
It's funny. The thing that I traditionally have missed since being on keto when it comes to Thanksgiving is we would make turkey tetrazzini
Oh,
with leftover turkey, and I'm trying to figure out how to convert that recipe to make it keto friendly because it's so yummy and I
mhm.
kind of miss it. I mean, I figured out how to do the pizza because I found cauliflower pizza crust. So I will eventually, I think, figure it out, but that's something I've missed, on being on keto when it comes to Thanksgiving is turkey tetrazzini. I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna get a smaller turkey this year, even though it's probably just gonna be me. And then I'm gonna, like you said, cut it up in various and sundry ways so I can eat on it throughout the rest of the whenever.
Yeah. Turkey tetrazzini. The way I remember it, it has like peas and carrots in it. Is that right?
And pasta.
Yeah,
It's
and
mainly,
pasta.
yeah, the main thing is it's cream of mushroom soup with noodles and um of course your turkey, and then what any other leftover vegetables
Okay.
from the meal. So it might be green beans that were left over that one year, it might be peas that were left over, but you put a lot of your leftover vegetables, and sometimes you might even put in some carrots.
mhm. Um, you could use spaghetti squash for the noodles. That's more keto friendly. Now, of course, it's carbs, but you could use spaghetti squash for the noodles and get the gluten-free mushroom soup from Walmart, because that's fewer carbs. Don't put milk with it. Use heavy whipping cream. Eggs, of course, the turkey chopped up, of course. And I would, rather than peas and carrots, because they're very carby, I chop up some cauliflower and broccoli florets.
Yeah,
And
now the eggs, we never had eggs in ours, so I don't know where you're getting the eggs from.
well, to make it set up as a casserole, so like you can, it's not like a spaghetti dish. To make it set up, you put eggs in, but you
Oh,
don't have
ours
to
was
put the
very
eggs.
soupy.
Yeah, yeah. But it's possible, Renee. I make all sorts of casseroles. I mean, I make spaghetti. I make a spaghetti casserole without the noodles. I use cauliflower florets for the noodles instead. And I also don't use tomatoes in it. I use beets instead to make it, beets and carrots to make it okay. And the carb count is 5 carbs a serving. And and it's pretty tasty. I don't eat it because it's turkey meat and beets and carrots. I can't eat those.
Yeah.
But everybody else here does. So but yeah, it's doable. You just got to play with it a bit, you know.
Yeah, and I've seen some really good keto pasta recipes on how to make pasta out of a variety of things, from eggs and or almond flour or coconut flour, or the one that fascinated me the most was the one that was actually made out of chicken. Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool. And there's an ingredient that you put, it's a chemical reaction, but you put water in a bowl and then you add this other ingredient, and then you squeeze your basically pureed chicken mixture into it while you're stirring it, and you squeeze it from a bottle and it makes spaghetti noodles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I actually saw a YouTube video about that.
Yeah, there's several of them.
Yeah.
And so I haven't tried that one yet, but that's on my bucket list of things to try for keto that I want to do.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm still trying to get around to trying the egg bread. I want to try the egg bread recipe. Ah, just, no time. No time yet.
I got a Dash waffle maker recently.
Oh,
I'm so excited because I got to finally eat chaffles.
you're gonna make some chaffles.
I
Yeah.
already have. They're fantastic. And the easiest way I found, I can make 2 chaffles this way. It takes 4 slices of the Sargento ultra thin sliced provolone cheese,
Mhm.
2 for each chaffle. And it takes 1 large egg, but you're going to use half of the egg for each chaffle. So you warm up your Dash, because it's only 4 inches,
Yeah.
your little Dash waffle maker, and you put down 1 slice of the Sargento ultra thin cheese. You let it melt quite a bit, and then you put half of the egg that you've scrambled up.
Yeah.
Whipped it pretty good with a fork. So you put half of that on there, and then you put one more piece of the Sargento ultra thin on top. Close up your waffle maker, and you let it cook until it is very browned. on both sides, and then you take it out and you let it cool, and it replaces a hamburger bun. It tastes it, believe it or not, you don't taste the egg as much as you taste the cheese, but it's
Mhm.
actually really tasty.
Mhm. I've made a couple of chaffles since I started keto. Um, and they were yummy. But then I started making too many of them, and I figured out that milk products, any kind of milk product, I have to be careful with them,
Ah,
um, because they make me retain fluid and weight and everything. And if I get too much, there's a fine line. There's a fine line, very fine. I can have one or two slices of cheddar cheese, but if I try and have Munster cheese, then my nose is running and it's a problem. Anyway.
yeah, the Keto Twins actually had a recent video along those lines about people who couldn't have milk products because it caused issues.
Mhm,
And I was kind of fascinated by some of the alternatives that they were coming up with
mhm,
that and of course, they show them using them and tasting them and everything. I was really kind of impressed with some of the alternatives. I don't think I would have thought of without watching it. That's one of the things I think I could add to my thankful list. I am thankful for YouTube because man, it's got some good things out there. I mean, there's going to be bad with the good, but it's got some really good resources when you don't know how to do an alternative to something you want to do that's keto.
yeah. Mhm, yeah. I've found the internet very useful on my keto journey. Um, so I wanted to talk about next week. I don't remember what we did last year for Thanksgiving. Did we have a meeting? Did we not have a meeting? I can't remember.
I don't remember. I've slept since then. I think at least once, maybe.
I think you should, I probably will not be here because my son's coming over on Wednesday night. My husband took the day off, so he'll be home. He works second shift, so he's not even home now, but he took next Wednesday off, so he will be home. So I
Mhm.
probably will not be here next Wednesday, so it's up to you whether you want to have it. I'll watch your video if you have it, and
Okay,
but I think maybe I won't be here.
yeah.
I can only
Um,
speak for myself.
I was thinking of doing something special, something different, because I am now at my 2-year anniversary of when I first found Dr. Boz. And when I made the decision to change my life and change my family's life, um, and everything, and I was thinking, maybe I could do something like that rather than having a regular meeting. Um, and so my thought is that I'll be here at the time of the meeting, and if nobody shows up, I'll do my thing. And then I'll just have that. And if someone shows up, we'll just have a regular meeting. And I'm trying to figure out how to put a beginning card. They call it a beginning card and an ending card on the videos. Because we passed our 1 year mark on October 26th. So we've now been doing this for 1 year. And I think we missed 3, maybe 4 weeks in that year. A couple of times because of illness, once because of our trip. And I think we took off. Well, I just can't remember what we did Thanksgiving. I'll have to go back and look. But I think we missed 4 times in a year. So I think we've done pretty good, you know,
Definitely.
um, considering I'm new to all of this vlogness and live streaming, zooming and everything. And so
Have
yeah.
you thought about maybe seeing if people want to sign up and see if anybody wants to sign up for it? And if no one signs up for it, then you just don't have it.
Yeah. I thought of that too. The other thing I cannot figure out, and I have to ask the doctor, the people that manage the neurons page, is for some reason, I have fixed it. I fixed it. The Keto Confab is listed every week, on Wednesday, and all the information is there, and the link is there, and all of that. But it never comes up in that little window that says upcoming events. Even 20 minutes before now, we're the next event. And it wasn't there. Never there. It is just never there. So you have to click on the all events to find out that there's a meeting tonight. Now, it used to come up every week.
Yeah, I thought it did.
Yeah, it used to, but it's not coming up now. And
That's
I don't know what it's doing. So I need to fix that on the Facebook page. But I've got the link fixed. I've got the blah, blah, blah fixed and everything. Crazy that I click the thing once every 12 weeks. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. But anyway, I got all that fixed and stuff, but yeah, I don't know why it's not coming up. There you go. So our
For
little
most
visitor.
people, holidays can be a challenging time to remember stuff that's scheduled, just
Mhm.
because it seems like everybody's being pulled in 1,000 different directions.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I mean, like our pastor, one of the things that I love about him, and he says, if anyone in the congregation doesn't have a place to go for Thanksgiving, our home is open to you. So
Mhm.
he always has his home open, even though his family is coming. And you can show up last minute. You don't even have to tell them you're coming. You can just knock on the door and, hey, I'm here. And they'll say, come on,
Yeah.
But for me, I know that the closer it gets between now and the end of the year, my schedule, I feel like I'm like trying to walk around like a chicken with its head cut off, dragging it behind me on a leash.
Mhm.
Because it just seems like I get one thing scheduled and something else pops up. And I get, so for me, it gets really crazy around the holidays. And
Yeah.
because I'm running my clinic in my home. So for me, I end up, getting a lot more patients wanting to book in last minute. So stuff that I may have scheduled, like coming to this, I need the income. So I kind of have to pick. I can either come get supported in my diet, or I can have money so I can afford to have a diet,
Mhm.
other than the
Yeah.
starvation one.
Fasting, you do the fasting diet.
Yeah. But along with that, it's the no electricity diet that bothers me.
Um, Speaking of fasting and stuff, I've been thinking of doing that sardine fast that Dr. Boz talked about. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I am not eating sardines, not for 1 minute, not for one bite. So I'm not, but you can do sardines and I don't care what you eat. It's not going in my mouth ever. I don't care what they say about them.
Have you ever tried them?
No,
Oh,
and I'm not going to either. And
yeah.
I've been with Dr. Boz for 2.5 years and I am not going to eat a sardine. So it doesn't
Well,
matter.
I have to
So
say, since coming to Dr. Boz, I have actually eaten 2 cans of sardines and I have survived. Now, are they something I think about? Yeah, yum, a can of sardines would be a great thing to eat tonight. No, not usually. No. But I'm thinking of trying it for a few days, kind of like a palate cleanser or something.
yeah, I mean, if you want to try it, I'm all for you trying it. You say, "Us, what do we think about it?" And I told you what I thought about it. But for
And I
you, I mean,
appreciate the honesty.
if you want to do it, I mean, I'll support you doing it. And I mean, if you want to try it, it can't hurt anything. I want to do the bacon and egg diet,
Oh.
that's more my side, that's more my
Mhm,
foods that I could do, bacon and
Mhm.
eggs.
mhm.
Well,
Um,
you're talking to a girl who could sit and probably eat sardines for every meal. I love sardines. I
So we
love
got
sardines,
we
and I
got me on
love
one.
the canned mackerel too.
Yuck. My husband eats canned mackerel, I think, every other day.
Now, I can't stand the canned sardines that are in the mustard sauce. That's to me vile. But I love the ones that are packed in the olive oil. Those are
Yeah.
super yummy to me.
No, I can't eat olive oil, so mine are in water. And I cannot possibly tolerate if they have a head. So I get the headless ones, and I tried the bone-in ones, and the crunch just creeped me out. So I'm like, no. And um, so I get the headless, boneless, scaleless ones. They descale them in water, and I'm okay. I'm okay. But it's stretching me a little bit. Stretch, because no, no, not really interested.
I wonder if there's a keto frog legs diet.
Oh, oh,
So I'm at one end of the spectrum and Renee's at the other end, and you're kind of in the middle someplace.
yeah, we're quite the set here, quite the set.
I mean, I do frogs legs and I do crocodile meat and
No,
alligator meat, and
I am sorry. No.
you're talking to a girl who even likes, snake meat, especially rattlesnake meat. It's really sweet.
No. Sorry.
Quite literally, rattlesnake meat has the same texture and sweetness to
Mhm.
me of chicken.
I have actually eaten crickets.
Oh yeah, I've
And
done that before too. Yeah,
yeah,
I like them fried. I've also had fried and or chocolate covered ants.
I haven't had ants. It
Oh,
seems like a waste
the
of
ones they
time to
get
eat
are
ants.
huge. These are huge ants.
Ew. I'm married to an entomologist, and people like to send him oddities. So sometimes he gets in the mail from a friend a chocolate covered scorpion, you know,
Yep.
or garlic flavored crickets and stuff. And he eats them. I might try a little nibble. Yeah. I mean, it is chocolate, but yeah, no.
Well,
Um,
you tell him if he ever has excess, he's welcome to send some my way because I would probably eat them too.
okay. Um, the one thing I've decided to do in this next year, I don't know if I'll start it before the new year, but I want to reread Dr. Boz's book that so affected me and got me into this in the first place. When I read her book, it was just like, I want to reread Any Way You Can, and I want to do some videos to put on the Keto Confab thing of me talking about each chapter and what I get from each chapter and what's important to remember and why this is such a great book and stuff. I can read excerpts from the book. That's okay. That's not a violation of copyright. But I can't just read the book, you know, that would be a violation of copyright. But I don't know, I'm thinking of doing that. Um, just number one, for me, to refresh my mind about the book and its goodness. And number two, to just have out there as a resource for maybe people who don't really have time to read or have forgotten what they've read or whatever. Do you think that's a good idea? Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
that would
was,
be pretty cool.
and if I get time, I want to do the same with her other book, the second book, the Keto Continuum, I think.
I started that one and I just couldn't get into it without, was it Bob or somebody? I guess I
David.
should finish it. Who? David.
David. Mhm.
David. All right. I just never finished that. I should finish it. Maybe I need to start over.
Yeah. I am partial to Any Way You Can because of my emotional connection to it, you know. Also because of the wow story of Grandma Rose, you know,
Mhm.
and how it affected her cancer, helped her with her cancer and everything. But I like the David story because it is so like your average person deciding, yeah, I'm going to do this keto thing. And he just stumbled into it and didn't prepare himself, you know, and that's why he got such terrible constipation. And I like that book because it gives more detailed information about how to do keto correctly. The Any Way You Can is great. And for me, a person who works with healthcare and food allergies and sensitivities and blah, 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 I was like, yeah, I got it. I got it. I'm running with this, you know. But I've sent that book to several friends, not Renee, other friends. See, Renee's in healthcare, so she got it too, you know. But I've sent it to other friends that aren't in healthcare, and they're like, well, okay, I read the book and it was really good, but how do I do this? And I'm like, how did you not get how you do this?
Which book of this are you talking about?
Any Way You Can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm talking to a client or a person or a friend who has severe health issues that are known, like cancer, MS, or diabetes or something, I suggest they go with Any Way You Can. But if they're just Joe Blow off the street, I want to lose weight and be a little healthier, blah, 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 but they don't know they have a health problem. Like, I mean, I didn't know I was insulin resistant, you know, when I first read the book. In fact, I didn't even know what insulin resistance was, you know, but now I know, oh, I know so much more. I have a client that came into me with a rash on her hands, her feet, her legs, and it's a little itchy. It's not horrible itchy or anything. And she's like, I've been to 2 different dermatologists and my family doctor and everything, and they've given me all manner of cream and blah 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 blah. And I looked at it, I said, well, let me look and see if were they able to tell you what it is. And they're like, no, they thought it was ringworm at first, but now, you know, they don't know what it is. So I did some research, Googling and stuff, and I found a picture of what she has, exactly that thing. And so then I started searching around, and that is caused by insulin resistance. That rash is caused by insulin resistance, and no amount of creams and oils and skin biopsies are going to change it. You have to change your diet. And so when she came back to me, I said, well, I have an answer for you. And you may not like it. And so I showed her, I had printed off a bunch of stuff. I showed her, you know, how I found, and she says, why didn't a dermatologist find this? And I'm like, it's not their area. They don't change people's diets. They give
They
you,
want a cream, they want a pill, they want a something, you know, that's,
yeah,
they can just prescribe. They don't
yeah,
want to talk about that.
I know. They don't want to take the time, just like our myth said earlier, they don't have the time to discuss lifestyle changes. They just want to give a cream or a pill or a shot or something.
I'd
And
love for
she's
you to share that information with me for me to be able to print off and use in my office.
sure. Yeah.
I'm kind of fascinated by what you're talking about because I've come across some stuff that I suspected was from insulin resistance, but I couldn't find anything to back myself up, so I didn't say anything.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try and get it together for you.
Okay.
But
So
she's
what
like,
is this
okay,
other book that you were talking about?
which other? Oh, the Keto Continuum book.
Oh, that book. Yeah, no. Okay, I've got that. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
Anyway, when it comes to lifestyle changes, your family doctor isn't the best person to talk to. I mean, okay, I've told you all that my cholesterol is finally in normal limits. The last time it was tested, I was 6 months into keto and it was still high. It was no longer above 300. It was down to 239, but now it's below 200. And it was tested, I don't know, a month ago. Anyway, my doctor's like, oh, well, what have you been doing to bring your cholesterol down? I said, diet. And she's like, oh, you're avoiding fat and red meats and stuff. And I'm like, not exactly. And she's like, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm eating 5 eggs a day. And she was horrified. She nearly died. If she had dentures, she would have swallowed them. I mean, she nearly died. She says, do you think that's healthy? I said, hey, obviously, because my A1C is still good. It's under 5, and my liver enzymes are even better than they were a year ago. And my cholesterol is finally in normal limits. And you're not going to talk to me about a statin, are you? And I said, obviously it's okay. She says, well, I hope you're not telling other people to eat 5 eggs a day. And I'm like, not this week. Because I hadn't told anybody that this week, that week that I went in. But it's crazy. They don't know. They just don't know, you know.
Well, and they are taught that the food pyramid is the, food that the pyramid of God, so to speak.
Yeah.
We can't vary from this little pyramid that was developed in the 1940s that is so flawed. We dare can't deviate from that, because then, what would we teach people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I I have I got a phone call from a potential client on Saturday night, and they were talking to me about how they eat clean and they're vegetarian, and they do yoga and all of this stuff, but unfortunately they were diagnosed with MS 7 years ago. And I'm like, well, I can work with you. I can send you to other people in your area if you would rather work with someone like me in your area. But I'm going to tell you, one of the things you need to change is your diet. And she's like, oh, but vegetarianism is the most healthy thing. And I'm like, okay, well, all right. How long have you been vegetarian? Oh, I went vegetarian as soon as I was diagnosed. And I'm like, how's that working for you?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's
And you
not
hear
working.
crickets.
Yeah. She's like, well, I'm healthy except for I'm in a wheelchair now and I can't walk. And okay.
Yeah, it's frustrating when you have a friend, or it's one of your patients, or it's just someone that gives you this huge list of all these things that are wrong, and then when you say, I'm doing something that can change that for you, because it changed that a lot of the same things for me.
Mhm.
And then you hear them go, oh well, but I've done that before, it doesn't really work.
Yeah. I mean, she's on a list of medications, a huge list of medications.
Yeah,
And she's
I'd
still in a
rather take
wheelchair.
my 30 pills every day than change my diet.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you believe that MS is genetic?
You can have a predisposition to any genetic disease or disorder. But I do think we have the capacity to change our body's reaction to that genetic disorder
Mhm,
by how we treat our body.
mhm. What do you think, Tammy? Genetic?
I'm not a medical personnel, but I know one person who had MS. It was my cousin. And I don't know how it could be genetic because nobody else in her family. Um, she was one of 12 kids, and nobody else I've ever heard in that family ever had it. And I know another person that had it was my boss's brother. And I knew a lot of people in that family, and nobody else ever had it either. So if it's genetic, it's hit and miss, and you don't see it in families. I mean, I don't know very many people with it, but you don't hear about it hitting like families and all your kids have it, or or something like that. It's just but just like they say about cancer, if you live long enough, everybody's going to have cancer. I mean, it's something inside of your body that uh makes cancer and has it. And if you live long enough, you probably will get it, and MS may be something like that that's inside your body, and it just comes out in reaction to certain environmental things. I have no idea.
I actually read something very disturbing along the lines of cancer. And it said that actually every human on the face of this earth carries the gene and the possibility to get cancer.
Oh yeah. I read Dr.
But
Fun's
why
book.
is it some people get it and some people don't? There are a lot, and the thing is, there are so many different factors that affect your probability of getting cancer that it's hard to narrow it down to one. Even my orthopedic surgeon today, I said, well, my sister had to have both of her knees replaced. So my question was, do you think this could be a genetic predisposition? And he goes, well, even in our industry, there are doctors who think, yes, it can be a predisposition handed down, throughout families. He goes, but there's also people who say that you can make to a certain extent, a choice between how severe or the how likelihood you're going to have to that predisposition by your diet and your lifestyle and your blah 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 blah. So he says, I personally feel that it is up to the individual by what they do with their diet, with their lifestyle, as to whether or not a genetic factor is going to be predominant, even if it is family, or whether you can have a greater probability of moving beyond it.
Yeah. I told her that my experience with the more than 30 MS patients I've worked with is that it's rarely genetic. That, I said, do you have anyone in your family that had this? She said, no, but they told me it's probably some sort of fault in my genes. And I'm like, okay, if you want someone to work with someone that believes that, then I'm not the person, because that's not my experience.
Yeah.
Well, it could be the fault. And when you were being formed, you could have had a default or defect somewhere along the line, but it doesn't, I mean, it could be genetic, but not to run in families.
Yeah.
But when you were being formed and when you were a baby, things could happen to you that don't come out until later in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens with these high school athletes that die on the field. They never knew they had some heart problem because they were born with it, but they didn't know. And you found out when, they keeled over and died when they were playing football. You hear that every now and then. And
Well,
sometimes when
you
you get
have
older, you have the same thing. You have things that happen to you and you're like, wow, I've had this all my life and now I'm just figuring it out. And it could be that way with MS, but it doesn't mean it's genetic. I mean, not to run in families like your mom gave it to you, or your dad gave it to you. It just, something happened when you were being formed and things didn't go in the right spot. And it's just a fluke. And it could be something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, there's, even if you have a genetic predisposition to it, it might be so many generations separated that the people who would have remembered that someone in the family had this disease before it was even called that disease,
Yeah.
because back when they had it, they didn't have that name for it. They just called it by a different name. Or they said, well, you've got some confusing disease. We don't know what it is and we don't have a cure for it. Well, since there was no name for it, there's no record in the health records, family health records, that so-and-so had it.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things that I've enjoyed about Chinese medicine, was that we look at what are called patterns of imbalance. There was no such thing as fibromyalgia. There was no such thing as MS. There was no such thing as all these new diseases names we've come up with, right? But believe it or not, they've been around for millions, thousands of years.
Mhm.
And if you go back and you look through what's called the Great
You have to go
Continuum,
outside.
you will actually see cases where, if you read the symptomology, that's MS or that's fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
But there wasn't that name for it.
No. Yeah. It's been my experience that MS is best treated with lifestyle change and working on the energy pathways and emotions. And, the thing was, the reason I said what I did to her was I didn't want to fight with her when during a session emotions come up and she's like, why don't you get to my genes? And I'm like, No. Anyway, well, I need to go. It's after 8 and I have a babysitter until 8:15. And so I need to go, but I have to find where to stop. Oh, here it is. Stop the recording. So thanks for coming. And if I see you next week, I see you next week. If I don't, I'll put a recording up of something. All right. See you. Have a good Thanksgiving. And
You'll just say something about your 2-year anniversary and
Yeah.
and go on.
Yeah.
I might show up. I just don't know. I can't plan now, but I
Yeah.
suspect that I
Yeah.
probably won't.
I
But
will live my life.
all right. See y'all
All right.
later.
Good night.